I finally kind of found a boss that I really don't like, and I have become the mining god. My word, what a fun day, but also just, I finished the day with a sour taste in my mouth, man. A sour taste in my mouth. Hard mode is spin the wheel of what you're going to work with, and you're like, oh, this is fine, this is totally good, and what's not, and trying to find solutions and just being unsure. One thing that is cool is like there's all the recommended gear in the world, but we're at the point where certain bosses just demand different things of you, and so you can look at like, oh, this is the list of what we recommend, but you read some of it and you're like, that doesn't really suit me right now, that doesn't really work. My goal was to finish off the twins. That's where I was up to, and did that on like the second pull of the day. The twins went down. It was a little bit of rest, bit of recuperation, reset the brain. The twins went down very, very quickly after yesterday. A total of 40 attempts to bring those down, and most of that actually ended up being just the last phase. Depending on which one transferred, which I didn't control particularly well, very, very different attacks. So I had to learn both patterns for the ending and get that sorted. It was wild. It was wild to get that done, but finally brought down the twins, and then noticed that a bunch of resources had opened up in the world. They were there. We had like titanium, I think it was maybe adamantite or something else that was now available to me. It was better armor, all that kind of stuff, and went looking for it. Also found out I could now farm cryo ore. I think it's called cryo ore. Apparently this opened up to me after I killed cryogen, and I could have gone and got that stuff earlier on, as it was really good. It made me Daedalus armor and a Daedalus bow. I had a whole bunch of new resources available to me. So I decided at this point to take a break from boss killing and make my mining set. This is something that's not... I don't want to lose this feature of Terraria, which is that it's 2 bits. There's the hard mode bosses we're doing. Obviously, we're doing Infernum, but there's also Terraria itself, which is exploring, finding things, and mining and doing all that kind of stuff and building stuff. So I built my mining set. I was like, I have all these accessories that are for mining. I found armor that's for mining. I found all this stuff. So I'm going to build a mining set just to make it faster. That's all I thought to myself, is I'm just going to make mining quicker. Dude, it's so fun. It was one of the most fun things I've done in a while, is how just extreme my miner is now. He goes through the world like an actual buzzsaw. I was just so elated with how this worked. I was like, okay, I'm now going to farm some resources. Just like melted through the world, just collecting everything, and come back with like hundreds of ore in a matter of minutes. Super fun. Even reforged my stuff to melee speed, which helps with pickaxing as well, to make it all work. This was great. I absolutely adored this, and managed to upgrade and get my stuff. And I was looking at what bosses are next, and people were genuinely concerned. It's like, you're kind of going to outscale some of the earlier bosses and get them done. And when I checked, I've killed much later bosses, and then earlier in the list, there's like 3 or 4 that are hidden from me that I haven't done yet. And I was like, oh, crap. Okay. But that doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter. The only 2 bosses I knew that I hadn't killed, the names I'd been aware of, was the Aquatic Scourge and Calamitous Clone. Those were the only 2. And so I was like, well, I'll start with the top one, Aquatic Scourge. This is the first boss I genuinely dislike. Like, Deerclops was bad, but doable, right? And not doable. Doable's the wrong word. It was like the problem with Deerclops is the way they wanted you to do it didn't really work out for me. Aquatic Scourge, I think in fact, I know, and there's sometimes you know this when you're doing boss fights, is that this fight is very easy. Very, very easy. This is not a complicated fight by any means. The patterns are very, very recognizable. There's nothing too concerning here. But I didn't know how to sort of initiate it properly. One of the things I was looking at with various upgrades kept mentioning the Abyss. And the Abyss has been there since the start of the game, and I hadn't really explored it, because even though I have underwater breathing, once you go into the Abyss, you start dying more. And I've picked up a number of accessories that mention the Abyss. So I was like, I think I'm going to go and check out the Abyss, because it seems like we should have done that, because there's a fair few items that are available to us that require Abyss materials. So I'm going to go do that. So I put together a little Abyss set and went down there, and that didn't work. I was still dying of all sorts of stuff. So looking into it, one of the things I can get is an Abyssal diving kit, which sort of nullifies the effects of the Abyss, but that required a bunch of diving helmets, so I went on a little mission and crafted all these things up so I could go and do that, and then I did find a way of spending more time in the Abyss. So down I went. Really scary. Genuinely so weird in a 2D game that it can create this weird atmosphere down when you go deep, deep under the water there. So down into the Abyss I went, but thankfully, I was stopped by my live chat. My live chat was like, just to let you know, the things you're looking for don't exist yet. I was like, oh, oh, okay. They're like, yeah, there's a boss that's going to allow these things to exist later. So the resources you're after, I think it was like abyssal material or something like that, aren't even there. And I was like, oh, okay. So we're not doing the Abyss yet. Fair enough. So we're going to do the Aquatic Scourge. It turns out to just be a worm. Loads of worms in this game, and they kind of follow similar patterns of snaking around the place, and then they're going to charge you, and then they're going to try and bash you in the head with their heads. Usual stuff. The problem I have with this fight, genuinely, and I found it so frustrating, is that it is underwater. There's probably a way of me gaining proper movement, like, as if I wasn't in water. I have everything I know of, right? I have things that allow me to swim properly underwater, allow me to do X and Y underwater, but you're still considerably slower than you are in the real world. Or above ground. And it just felt like moving through mud against a very quick worm. As also, and I don't know the answer to this. It's how I finished my stream yesterday. Is like, I do not know the answer to this. Am I doing 0 DPS? Or has this thing just got a stupid amount of health? I don't know. Because it's such a long, tedious fight. Really long. Now, one thing I haven't done is reforged all my gear to bonus damage. Haven't done that. But my gear has been more than adequate, especially when you can have near enough 100% uptime on the boss, which I have this time. And also, I'm using effective gear. I've got the Daedalus bow, which cleaves through enemies, so it pierces. Using the best arrows I can get right now. I have a quiver for bonus. I don't have double quivers, which is something you can do. But more to the point is, like, it just went... It's like a 7-minute long fight. Oh, it's a long time. And it has a really twisty end. So when I finally got reasonable at the fight, and then it transferred, and suddenly I boiled to death in the water. There is a server message that pops up, but I didn't see it while I was fighting it. I just suddenly died. Like, the water started bubbling, and I just suddenly died. And I was like, what the hell? Checked back into it. It's like, the water's boiling. You should go to the surface. And I was like, everything about this fight is don't go on the surface. If you go out of the water, he just wrecks you completely. So I was like, oh, so they put a twist extra phase in where you actually do go out of there. So I had to then relearn that, which is minutes and minutes and minutes to get there. And I got to, I think I died with him having 1,000 health left of 170,000 health. Like, one more arrow would have killed it. One more arrow would have killed it. And I died there. That was the best I did. But I went through a whole period. I think we're up to like 42 tries on this. For real. And this fight is not hard. I know that. I'm fully aware of that. But I went through like a good hour of just being frustrated with the fight itself. Just like, I just do not like sludging around. Sometimes because his phase changes. I've learned a lot about this fight. Like, his phase changes cause him to go sort of passive, docile, and then hyper-aggressive for a couple of seconds because he repositions to get back into his mechanics. And sometimes you just get, like, triple hit. But that's just complaints because I don't like the fight, which is, I think, is fair. Some people get upset, like, oh, it's too hard. I'm like, no, we're going to kill this, like, pretty quickly. I just do not like the way this fight works. One thing I do know, though, that things I could change, right? You can be frustrated or you can be like, okay, what are we going to do? One of the things I want to do probably immediately after this, I'm going to kill the boss as it is right now, is I need knockback immunity. There are so many fights that I found in Infernum which are... have a system of design in terms of the bullet hell spread that if you get hit once, it will knock you the perfect distance to be hit by something else, and that will ricochet you into something else. And being pinballed is a very regular occurrence, and it happens here a lot, especially because his body is somewhat sticky, is what it feels like. If you get caught in his body, it's almost... you're going to take 3 or 4 hits to pull yourself away. And what you'll end up doing is, I had adrenaline multiple times on this fight, is you'll play kind of perfectly for like 5 minutes, right? Like, for a really long time. And then you'll get hit, and suddenly you just lose all your health. Like, it'll just go, because it hits very hard. And you're just like that 5-10 second period just messed me up. But this is all part of the learning curve. And one thing I pointed out here is, like, yeah, These twins definitely took way longer than they were supposed to, due to my aim and the weapons of choice. But I think this is preparing me for stuff later, so I'm okay with it. It's sort of like grinding your face into the stone, so later on things are going to be a little bit more used to, and longer fights are going to make more sense. I'll be fine and comfortable with that, so I'm not super bad. It was just the first fight I don't like, so I'm going to defeat this very quickly, do the Calamitous Scourge, and I don't know where we go. I'm uncovering... I've built a lab, because I'm decrypting... I think this is just access to gear, but there's no doubt a boss lock behind it as well. I think he's called Daedron. I'm unencrypting. I had to like decrypt and make all these batteries and things and sensors in order to decrypt these files, which give me recipes for better weapons. I tried making the ranged weapon, but it was terrible. It was awful. It was like a green shotgun that only works when you ricochet off things. It's really odd. But either way, I'm going to be messing around with all sorts of stuff. I don't want to just do boss rush. That's my comment here. I don't want to just do boss rush. I like to do a bunch of stuff and then like lock in for boss periods of time. And so our next stop, I think, after we do Aquatic Scourge and see what that unlocks, maybe going for the Calamitous Clone, or at least check it out. But then probably just make sure and look around and make sure I've got everything up to date. Like, I haven't updated my housing in ages. I haven't got my pylons set up. There's so much like good stuff that I've not done, which is just slowing me down. And I want to spend some time doing that. So that's my plan. And then we're moving into the next stage of the game, which is going to ramp up even more. My guess is it's Plantera. Plantera is now unlocked. So Plantera will be next. Plantera's been there for a long time. I think if you're good enough, you can early kill Plantera. But that's got to be my next stop, is Plantera. I hope she's nice to me. That's all I'll say. Bye, guys.